Thank you, Lasker. Minister, you're welcome to the House. At the outset, I should congratulate you for the work you're doing in further education. For 25 years of my life working in further education, I wanted a minister like you who'd drive it forward, and fair play, you've done a great job so far. However, getting back to the bill, it's specifically Amendment 76. I note that in the section it says under I, such other bodies or persons as is considered appropriate. We put in an amendment there to put in local authorities and councillors and such other bodies and persons considered appropriate. I was down at the AILG meeting last week, and I can tell you your own county councillors are quite exercised by virtue of the fact that they feel they're being written out of the legislation. And I do think that in the case of higher education institutions, county councillors have a major role to play in bringing to bear local issues and local concerns. And what we're looking for here is that we would specify in the legislation a role for local authorities and councils, rather than having it vague, which is where it is at the moment. I fully appreciate you will probably argue that under the section as it stands, it is open to the institutions to bring local authority people in. But I think certainly talking to local authority people, they feel more and more excluded. They see more and more centralisation, and you know, they're concerned. They're people who work hard within their communities. They deliver. You know them better than I do. And I know that you spend a lot of time meeting people on the ground out there. So you've heard all this before you came in here tonight. And from that point of view, I would really implore you to take on board the amendment that I'm seeking there and specify a role for local authority members and for local authorities. I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And also just to welcome our visitors in the gallery as well who are joining us for this debate. Can I ask if there are any other senators who would like to contribute? Sorry, Senator Carrigy, apologies, go ahead.
Much Lasker here, Minister, you're very welcome. Just be very short and just really to concur with the comments of Senator Craughwell. Coming from a local authority base for a long number of years, there's a wealth of experience, an absolute wealth of it, and a lifetime of experience. And they're the people that are on the ground every day of the week and can feed into this with what are the views of the people on the ground. Because as I said, over a long number of years we've had representatives in various bodies, RTCs as there were, ITs, and as I say, they can do nothing but only add to the work here. So as I say, I just want to support them comments that they would be named in the legislation and not just any relevant bodies. There are 900 and X odd people who are elected by the people to put forward the views of the people, and I think this is an ideal way of doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask, is there anyone else that would like to contribute on those points? No? If not, Minister, would you like to come in? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the first, thank you to all senators for the amendments, and covering quite a wide breadth of issues in this grouping. So let me just try and respond to, starting with amendments 56, 57 and 58, which are the amendments in the names of Senator Higgins and others in relation to expanding on the names of the organisations and agencies that are listed and prescribed in the legislation. And I do truthfully understand what the Senator is trying to do here, and being also very truthful, actually, I have wondered would be even better naming none, because I do get into I do take the points the Senator makes. I'd equally make the point respectfully that if I name these ones, then people will say, well, what about, to give Teagasc as an example, or some of the other research bodies, and I'm not being flippant or smart here, but there's obviously such a breadth of research bodies, and this is always the risk when one gets into naming. So, I mean, I am satisfied that the way the legislation is currently written in relation to allowing the Minister to, under subsection 7b, part 4, it does specifically reference a body established by or under enactment whose functions are vested by statute or as relation to purposes connected with the provision of higher education by designated institutions, and that is prescribed by order of the Minister for the purposes of this section. I would more broadly make the point, though, I think I made this to you before, we do have, and I'm really looking forward to it, we will have a research bill coming before the Oireachtas next year. I think it will be the first time we've ever had a standalone research piece of legislation, and there will be a chance perhaps to tease through some of these issues, including indeed where the Irish Research Council and Science Foundation Ireland and others fit in the landscape under Impact 2030. So take what the Senator is trying to do. I do think if I actually expanded the list at this stage, I'd probably still, based on these amendments, have left others out too. So I am satisfied that the intent is very clear here, and I do think we can revisit some of these in relation to the research legislation next year. On the issue of the local authorities and the councillors, I mean, let me be very, very clear here. As Senator Craughwell suggests, I know councillors well, I know city councillors well, county councillors well, I particularly know my own party colleagues well. I was a councillor. I very much appreciate and value the role of our local representatives, and Senator Carrigy makes important points about the on-the-ground knowledge that democratically elected people have. It is absolutely not the intention of this legislation in any manner or mean to dilute or diminuate in any way the role of our local authority representatives. I would make the point that the TU Act, the Technological University Act in 2018, which any of us lucky enough to be in the Oireachtas back then would have voted on, did already make a number of changes in relation to governing authorities. And we'll get to that section a bit later. What I am saying specifically in relation to the governing authorities is it's very clear that when we pass this legislation, regulations have to be set in terms of how a governing authority is composed with the new configuration. Those regulations have to be put forward by a governing authority, approved by that governing authority, which, by the way, is the outgoing governing authority which councillors are on, and also has to then be approved by me as Minister. So to be very clear, I see a role for councillors and local representatives in relation to this, and the regulatory process is where we'll explore those issues and how best to address them. In relation to this, and we'll get on to, I know there's a specific section on that later, so I won't expand on that now, but when we get on to on Amendments 75 and 76 specifically, this does propose to include a provision that on tutors shall, for the purpose of preparing an equity of access, participation and promotion of success plan, consult. And I would say that I'm very happy that there is provision in the bill already, and this provision, let me be clear on the record of this House, will cover consultation with local authorities and specifically with local authority members as well, with our democratically elected city and county councillors. Amendment 84 proposes to include specific reference to trade union representatives of both academic and professional staff in relation to consultation on the preparation of the equality statement. I thank Senator Higgins, Ruan, Flynn and Black for this. There is already provision for consultation with employees of the institution under subsection 4E. It is my view that this is perhaps a more inclusive way of providing for consultation with trade union representatives of both academic and professional staff. There's also provision for consultation with such other bodies or persons as the institution considers appropriate. And still on this section, am I still on this section? I am indeed. So Amendment 115, just sorry, I want to make sure I'm still in the section. So again, I believe that these amendments are necessary as provision for the governing authority to consult an equality policy of a university, and governing bodies are empowered. And conscious of the debate around autonomy, which we hear a lot, rightly in this House, and we do value autonomy, it is trying to get that balance right between really putting the structures in place to empower our governing authorities, but then allowing them get on with it in terms of internal governance. And I am satisfied that the provisions in the legislation do cover off that. And finally, in this section, and Minister Collins is going to take the next section for the debate, and then I'll be back. But amendments 142 and 143. This is an amendment, again, very similar to an earlier one in relation to local authorities, city and county councillors, and I would make the same point. This is a specific provision in relation to the National College of Art and Design, and my earlier answer stands in relation to that one as well.
Thank you, Minister.
Dear Minister, you did say, forgive me, my old hearing isn't the best.
Sorry.
You did say that you see a capacity to deal with the county councillor issue at the regulation stage when you're putting regulations in place. So all is not lost. That's what you're telling me here tonight. That will inform a lot of what I do from here on out.
Well, not only is all not lost, I would make the point that today the reality in Ireland in relation to the technological universities is that there is no seat for county councillors and city councillors on the technological universities. That's the truth of the matter. Senator Carrigy and I say, the Technological University, Senator Byrne and I know the South East Technological University, that is the, Senator Dolan and I in the Atlantic Technological University, this is the reality of the situation today. What this new legislation will do is it will set the maximum numbers, and it should, and we do need smaller governing authorities, I really believe that. It will set the balance as to how those, between external and internal. I think that's important, that there needs to be a majority, certainly in the case of almost all, of external representatives. I think that's an important change. How those external seats are filled is a matter for governing authorities to decide by regulations, which need to be approved by the governing authority and the Minister of the day.